And we're back. Yes, we're back. We're back. We're back. Yes. Rumors of our demise have been greatly exaggerated. It's Gerald Glassford coming back at you here, back from the dead, right here. Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, which I've still been doing. You can hear me there. Wherever you get your podcasts. Inside Sports Fantasy Football, that's coming around the corner. Chris Lardieri, Dom Lardieri, well, depending if he is not too busy with school. And also as well, Joe Sorrell may pop in as well, giving you your thoughts that you need out there to build a fantasy football winner like I did, because I won my league last year. So we will go ahead and talk fantasy football, hopefully starting next week on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Taking a look at the game. I'll tell you what, Eric, it's more than just those first 10 games, which are not too pleasing to my eye when I took a look at it just at glance. But we will be talking about the Lakers schedule today. But I also want to give a big shout out. Joe is on his way, Mr. Simblades. Man has been busy working hard at Simblades, simbladeswithany.com. Plus also as well, John Costa was here earlier today. I was trying to listen to it. He was trying to go ahead and justify, and rightly so, the Lakers' existence and having a full accredited championship during the bubble. He had on a Laker hater and a bubble hater, and I couldn't only take so long of it, but I'll probably play that to our audio audience here in the coming days. But yes, for me, you know my rule when it comes to the bubble. Hey, if it was somebody else's team, somebody else's fan base would be defending it. But hey, the Lakers won, so shut up. But also as well, of course, the Lakerholics crew, they were here this past weekend. Hopefully they'll be here this weekend. Again, talking about what's going on with the Lakers. It's a slow period right now, and we'll get more into that, why we're not coming at you every single day, because it's kind of slow. And I was watching the other channels, and I'll get to a little bit in a sec, but yeah, it's some of the other channels out there for the Lakers. They're hurting as far as their attendance is concerned. So the Lakerholics, though, they came at it strong this past weekend. And hopefully they'll be coming back for more. Lakerholics.com. Plus our good friends, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, John McCallion channel, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, I didn't forget that. But also these great channels, please support them and support us, because we need a bigger audience to be on more often. We need a larger audience to draw from, because right now this is the doldrums of the basketball universe. The gold medal game is done. Team USA is victorious, but it's still many, 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 many weeks before training camp. And this time, we need your support now more than ever. If you know someone out there that likes to talk Lakers or likes to listen to Lakers, we need your support. You guys ask us. You guys been sending us the messages, and when Joe comes on, I'll elaborate again. Hey, we want you back. We want you back. Where are you guys? Well, we need your support. We've been saying for years, we need you to multiply yourself into a larger audience in order for us to go ahead and take the time out of our day to go ahead and bring to you the best we can. Joe is a busy man. I'm a busy guy. I just got over, I think, was COVID. I'm not 100% sure. I tested negative the first time, but I was pretty damn sick. But when I came back, I just realized it was just really hard for us to come back on the air right now, because some of these shows, and Joe's now on with me, and thank you, Xbox. I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate the kind words of Mask Up on Twitter. I appreciate all the kind of words and messages. I appreciate everything that was emailed, including Courtside Lakers just now. We were never gone, but it's just a bad time for basketball talk right now, because there's just not a whole lot to talk about. The Team USA getting the victory, and that was a slow time right now. I saw conversations on other channels with Michael Thompson and Steve Mason not even getting 100 views on other channels. I saw another channel was on the air for 8 hours, 8 hours, and couldn't even get 2,000 views. That's a lot of hard work and a lot of time to get that little of an audience. So this is not a great time of the year for Lakers shows, but today dropped the schedule. So we thought we'd stop on by to at least discuss that and a little bit more. The Lakers signed 2 guys to Exhibition 10 contracts. Are they game changers? You guys wanted a center. You guys got a center. But is it the center that we need? We'll talk about that on the show. Plus, Joe will go ahead and, I guess, try to court some controversy with whatever it is LeBron was shooing away as far as an autograph seeker or whatnot. I don't know. Didn't really get that much out there, but it is on YouTube. So I guess we'll go ahead and discuss that as well. But Joe Soro is here. And Joe, great to be back, my friend. Again, this is a bad time of the year for Lakers shows because they're just trying hard to get an audience. And in a lot of cases, Joe, it's just not happening, my friend. It's just not there. People are just doing other things. Joe's busy like a mad fool. My kids are going to, school, college, stuff like that. Got busy to get played myself. We want to be doing shows for you guys, but my God, man, we need all the help we can get. You're on mute.
Yeah, it is a good excuse is still an excuse, and
thank you, Legend. Appreciate it.
It's a mindset that either you have or you don't, or there's a way you can develop it too. But I think it's always been there, and you end up maybe having a few things in your life happen, and then it becomes kind of the philosophy. I'm very appreciative that we have a fan base that values us enough to want to listen to us.
Yes, I do too as well.
Yes. The issue though with this particular format is that we have an abundance of entertainment at our disposal. This is not the 3 network TV that you used to have when we were growing up. This isn't the few cable channels like HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime. I don't know what it is about the 3s, but everything seems to have had 3s to start, right? The Holy Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
And now we don't have 3. Now we have 3 million. So how can we differentiate ourselves from the pack? That's still to be determined. And I have full confidence that at some point this will resonate. It will resonate, and it will be exactly what we know it can be. In the meantime, we had some good basketball that we were able to watch during the Olympics. The schedule came out today. I had a very busy schedule, so I've skimmed through it a little bit, but I haven't really gotten the total grasp of it. But we'll do our best to see some of the positives and negatives of that. The LeBron situation, if you will, seems like there's always something, right? I do want to talk about that because I feel like it's such a dead time that they're picking on anything to just because I think that is just who we are as people. I think we like drama, and you think you don't. Drama is for some people is the only excitement. Now, people will interpret drama in different ways. I tend to get pretty brutal sometimes with certain people in my circles that I've known, whom now probably don't like me as much online when there's a political discussion or cultural discussion or social discussion. It's a small group, but it's one that that sticks to me because it's really kind of like the only one. And I realized I'm like, well, okay, so the drama there, is that really for me? Am I having too much fun with it? Am I setting bad vibes? Am I being that guy? And then you talk about Lakers fast break. Are we going to talk about why LeBron stinks in a lot of things? Are we going to talk about Jeannie and Rob and the Laker ownership and how bad they are? And the sad thing about that is Gerald and I talked about this just about 15 minutes ago. And this is me minding my own business today, folks. I went out to dinner with one of my business partners, and we were enjoying our meal. And they told me about a gentleman that they know who's a semi-pro golfer who's owns a Amazon fulfillment business and other things. And he's got a lot of money and a lot of resource. And apparently he has season tickets to the Lakers. And I guess he got a box. He's got floor seats, something like that. It was kind of loud in there, so I couldn't hear everything. But apparently his daughter had a birthday, and they did get a box. I think it was like $90,000. And I guess whomever the customer service person whom he was talking to treated him like he was garbage. Where have we heard that before? Now, this is someone that's not of any ilk in the Laker organization or someone who's famous, but we all know what they did to Jerry West, who, I find the irony there hilarious because they don't probably have that building if Jerry West doesn't exist, but that's a story we've talked about enough. But just me minding my own business, talking about my business, not Laker business. The Dodgers were on TV. They were showing some other sporting event. There's no Lakers in the discussion. There's no discussion of anything. And here, I hear a random story about a random guy whom got treated like trash by the Lakers organization. And it further proved that the diseased ownership and leadership on this team there's no denying it. There's no denying that this is being run by complete asshats. And I'm talking about, if I had a choice, I would go make especially two specific asshats and put it on top of Jeannie and Rob's heads. Because that's exactly what they are. And that's exactly what I think about them. And again, guys, I puss out, excuse my language, but sometimes I sit back, I'm like, God, is this going to cost me later? I totally get into my feelings, right? I even told you about this, G, didn't I? Like, hey, man, maybe we're going to have to take down some videos in the future. And you're like, it's too late. So I might as well go all the way with it. However, I
want to hear this. Okay, Problem Child says, "Oh, please stop it, Gerald. Joe can talk about anything and we'll listen." Is that really the case? I also had another person, Deep Purple, say, "Oh, you guys missed a great opportunity to build a larger base during the Olympics." Really? Again, look at the numbers for all the other Lakers channels out there. They're all down for a reason. And if there's enough people, there's not enough people listening to Joe rant. There's a small audience that listens to Joe rant right now. It's a small audience. And right now, Joe, first time we've been back in days, and it's the numbers getting smaller and smaller. So don't tell me, that's something that's not there. You guys don't back up anything. You guys, there's a few there's a small segment that just says stuff and does not back it up with anything substantive. I see the numbers at the end of the day. I produced this show. I'm the one who went on, in the background to put Joe on the air last week. Don't tell me these things that are not true. There's a great support from people like Xbox and Mask Up and a few other people, but you guys ask us to go ahead and commit so much time to our schedules. Joe has a business that he has to adhere to that is costing him money, literally hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars every time he goes on this show that he commits to you. You have to make it worth his while. You have to make it worth our whiles. It's a two-way street. You know, all these hardworking channels that play shows, that do shows for under 100 people. That's rough, Joe. That's rough. YouTube is a huge entity, billions of views each and every month. And it's sustainable to only a few. There's the haves and the have-nots. And right now, Joe, I don't want to be one of the have-nots. I just want to go ahead and do a show when we can. And for right now, I think that should be good enough.
Yeah, it's been that lull time. We've said that if there's not enough people that want to listen, then that's what the market said. The market says we don't value what you're saying, and that's fine. That happens. There's plenty of TV shows, plenty of sitcoms, all those things that that happens.
There's only 6 people watching right now.
Where Married with Children went on for 11 years. I thought they went on maybe about 3 years too long, but even they met their demise without a proper ending. And mind you, I'm not comparing our show to Married with Children. The point is, it doesn't matter how valued or how much history you have or how much greatness you have. The second people stop watching, then that should be a clear sign that you don't belong doing this. And this particular show takes, especially with the competition, the amount of Lakers shows as well, it takes a lot of behind the scenes work to make it work to where we need it to work. And our resources and our time right now can't be allocated to that. I'd like to say that I will do it one day, but I don't know. And I also think that there's a combination of the lull of August and the fact that I started the show with this Lakers story, and I can't blame people. I think people are burnt out from the Lakers a little bit too, because they're very hard to support. They really are. I heard this story tonight. I had no thought of hearing something like this, and it came to me. It came to me because it gave me reassurance that my assumptions, and I'm just saying that because I'm not there with Jeannie and Robbie every day to really know 100%. But is it really assumptions, or is it just exactly what we're seeing based off of the execution of what's going on? Who the hell wants to support this? I know if it wasn't for the show, you all know, and for the people who have asked us to come back when we were close to leaving, or at least I was, I don't want to support these kind of people. These people don't give, and I'm not, I'm a grown up. I'm not expecting them to treat me like them. No, but they have no respect for anything. They have no respect for anything. They don't have even respect for themselves.
But I just feel bad, Joe. I mean, there's a lot of smaller Lakers channels than ours, and they work hard to get some of these interviews. Like, again, Michael Thompson went on one of these channels a couple days ago. Steve Mason from Mason, Ireland. They both have appeared on other channels. And I know there's supposed to be big wins for some of these smaller channels, and they still don't do squat. And they work so hard to get these, supposedly being the biggest shows of their channels' careers. And it just, just the lack of support for those channels. What does it say to someone like us who has established something, but not anywhere near where it's sustainable for being out there 7 days a week in front of you guys? I mean, there's a very small amount of Lakers channels which are fully sustainable at this point in time.
I believe we're sustainable. It's
not as of yet.
I mean, I can do this. I can do this maybe maybe
But
not
to make it
maybe-
worth your while, man. It's not fair to you.
See, here's the thing: not everything has to be worth my while on everything, and also not everything has to have meaning. A lot of times, sometimes you just want. I think we get into this mindset of something has to matter and something has to have meaning. No, this is my struggle with the show isn't the show. If I really had to make time, I could. Let's say if our show was bringing in a revenue where you can make a living, it's a little easier to adjust to that, right? I'm not doing this show for money. And I understand that there's some guys that have hit me up and said, you could talk about anything, Joe will listen to you. I appreciate that. But
I've suggested this to you.
I don't want to be I don't want to preach. I don't find myself interesting for that. There's enough talking heads out there. Okay. There's enough. There's TED Talks. There's a bunch of yahoos on every podcast and every kind of channel, whatever it is, talking about how they should live their life, how you should do this and do that. I don't want to be that sewer rat. I don't. Like, how many of those guys are you going to listen to and get inspired? I'm not here to inspire. You should be able to inspire yourself. You know, I come from the Chuck Noll mentality. If I got to motivate you, then I'm firing you. You've heard me say that a few times. I'm here, honestly, to entertain using our subject as the main reason because I love sports and I love the Lakers. And I have a lot of knowledge in it. And I watch it and I analyze it and I know it and I remember it. And the negativity that comes out sometimes comes from frustration instead of fake news. A lot of these guys do these fake things. Yelling every 5 minutes on a show tends to be condescending at some point. But Stephen A. Smith and those types seem to have made a living off it, and I think a lot of it is because the fact that he was one of the first ones that was like that on like cable network TV.
Yeah.
So his time it's been 20 plus years, so that's what it is.
Actually, that's pretty impressive. Whatever you say or disagree or agree with what he says, the fact that he's still on the air doing what he's doing, that has to be, at least that part of it is impressive to me.
It's a battle of attrition. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan was on his podcast for 5 years before anybody watched it. His friends were telling him, what the hell are you doing wasting time? Because I like doing it. And Joe Rogan gives me a headache. His hyperbole is always giving me a headache. He was giving me a headache way before his podcast took off. Everything Joe Rogan says, it's some kind of, this is the greatest thing that has ever existed in the history of civilization. He took Bill Walton's talk and turned it into 8 times worse. The hyperbole is horrible. Everything is some wow moment, but people love it. People love that crap. And with us here, we don't have a network where people can kind of connect to. And with all due respect to the Steve Masons and the Michael Thompsons and buddying up with James Worthy at Sportsnet or hugging Jeannie and all that, no one cares, folks. For all my Laker podcasters, no one cares.
And it's a shame because, you think that would be something special. Because I've had that. Why don't you go ahead and get this person? Why don't you go ahead and get that person? Well, because they don't translate. It doesn't translate to the audience. It doesn't get in the kind of numbers that you put in the effort for. So if we do pretty much the same numbers with you and I just talking, sometimes that's just as good. Or if I bring on Legend, or John Costa brings on that guy earlier who just kept slamming the Lakers for the bubble championship, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to leave that alone. If that gets the same amount of viewers, then there you go. But again, for those who are here, we do appreciate you being here. But you guys have been very patient, and you guys have been asking us to, off air, please come back, please come back. Are you guys gone? Are you guys back? We never went away. It's just, again, I did get ill. I was off a few days, but just getting back into the thick of things here in the middle of August is really hard, Joe, because it is the worst time of the year for basketball fans up until today, which is just a brief bit of hope because the schedule just came out. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. And the schedule did come out. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, my friend. With the NBA Cup and what's going on with the Lakers this season, trying to defend the NBA Cup. Of course, taking a look in detail, opening night against Minnesota, TNT, October 22nd, which is still 2 months away, Joe. 2 months away. But yes, it's going to be right off the get-go. Eric had said earlier that he was having an issue with the Lakers as far as schedule early on. And early on, it isn't pleasant. I'll give him that. Home series against Minnesota, Phoenix, and Sacramento. Then you go on the road at Phoenix, at Cleveland, at Toronto. Got an easy one at Detroit. Then you got at Memphis before you come back to Philadelphia, Toronto, and Memphis. So that's not exactly the greatest thing in the world. But did you get a chance to see much of the schedule so far? Because to me, that there's some other periods of time, especially near the end of the season, which I'm not exactly loving as well.
I did. I thought it was a nice
less back-to-backs, though. I do like that.
It was a nice change from the fact that the schedule last years have been brutally inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it doesn't some couple in Ohio or Michigan or something like that create these schedules?
Yeah. There's some type of algorithm.
Yeah, I don't know how all that works, but looking at the schedule here, so the season starts on Tuesday on the 22nd of October against Minnesota. I feel pretty comfortable that the Lakers can finally win what would be their first opening game.
Mm-hmm.
Opening game win since I think 2013 or 14 against the Clippers. Anyways, I think it's 14. Sorry. Yeah.
At the toilet bowl.
Yeah. So I feel confident that I think that they can beat Minnesota to open the season, and then Phoenix, sure, and then Sacramento. Sacramento seems to have our numbers, so they could start 2-1 or 1-2 either way. I think I'm kind of 50-50 on that. And the reason why I say that is because they are opening on Tuesday, then they have a couple days off, then they play Phoenix, and I don't think Phoenix is going to be as good this year as they were even last year. I don't trust Bradley Beal. Durant still looks good, but I still, don't think he's capable of taking this team to another level. Not like he might have been able to maybe 5 years ago. And then Devin Booker is always a wild card. But they do play the Kings on a back-to-back on a Saturday. And I just think based off of what we normally see with back-to-backs against teams that they struggle with, usually they end up losing that. And then they play Phoenix again that following Monday. And then they go to Cleveland, then they go to Toronto. It's interesting how they kind of started the road trip, little mini road trip non-Grammy thing right out of the gate. And the Lakers should take advantage of this when they're at their most healthy to play in Toronto, play in Cleveland, and play in Detroit, play in Memphis. These are all those dead towns that don't tend to motivate the masses, right? What is there to do in Memphis, Tennessee? What is there to do in Toronto when it's freezing in January, right? Or February? What are you going to do in Cleveland at any time of the year? So it's nice to see them getting out of that Detroit and Cleveland out the beginning.
And Joe's coming right back at you here.
Will they take advantage of it? That's going to be the question. It's
Joe, we're losing you, Joe. Joe, you with us?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what's going on with your internet, man? Mine is just fine at this time around. Can't blame me on it.
I have a full signal, so I don't know what's going on.
I was dancing around earlier, but I can see what you're saying. Henry, I don't think that Joe or I have any kind of affinity for what Pat Bev says on his pod. I guess he said that Darvin Ham apologized for not practicing. I mean, how many of these coaches actually do the kind of practices that they did back in the 80s and 90s and whatnot? So most of these teams, once they get into the league, once they get into the season, they curtail on the practices, right, Joe, just to avoid injury or getting these guys any more tired. So a lot of these guys don't go through much in the way of practices during the course of the season. So I don't know how effective that is, but again, I would want my teams to be practicing more, but I understand that's the reality in 2024.
Two clowns yapping about something when it's too late.
Exactly.
I see that all the time in life, and I'm sorry to throw Shaq and Kobe into this because I'm the way I am, and no matter how hard I try not to be sometimes, but and I because it sounds like we're not human and we don't make mistakes, but not every mistake is the same. The mistakes you make, whether you were immature or you're making bad decisions, it still lingers. There's some mistakes that never go away. And Shaq is a big Shaq talks about how he screwed up the Kobe thing. I was there, folks. I was there. I think he says that with honesty, but I don't believe him either. I don't believe it was a mistake on his part. I believe he did it because the same reason that you're great sometimes it makes you bad as well. The ego, the inability to see above you yourself. We could have seen something that probably would have never been seen if those guys had gotten along. But they were both very selfish. Kobe wanted to win as the guy. Shaq didn't want to relinquish whatever he had. Imagine if Shaq cared about fitness and health. And imagine if Kobe wasn't obsessed with being the guy to win. We could have seen a run that might have rivaled the Celtics in the 60s and 50s.
Getting back to the schedule right here at the Lakers Fast Break, it is Joe Sorrell from Simblades, SimbladesWithY.com and Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this and truly appreciate you being here. One stretch that I have my concerns that people have already pointed out for is when the Lakers go on the road in March, early March, where they are at Boston, at Milwaukee. They had just finished off of a game against New York and New Orleans, back-to-back against the Clippers. Not exactly the most pleasant time of the year, but then again, we'll have a good feel right around game 60 to 65, exactly where the Lakers are at in the Western Conference by that time. But all I say, Joe, is they better not try to do the same thing 3 years in a row as far as trying to put all your tools in the basket at the very end of the season. Because if you take a look at the end of the season, Joe, when it comes to games 70, let's start with 74. Let's start with 74 at Memphis. Then you're home against Houston. Then you're home against Golden State, New Orleans. You have 2 road games in a row against Oklahoma City. You're at Dallas. And just before you end off against Portland, you have another home game against Houston. That's a stretch against what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games out of your last 9 against possible playoff teams right there for you. A third year in a row, if the Lakers are struggling and banking on everything they can to finish the season strong once again, that's a tough thing to ask 3 years in a row, Joe.
The question is, is this team going to buy into J.J. Redick's rhetoric?
Hopefully they do beforehand.
J.J. Redick's rhetoric. Redick.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Redick. J.J. Rhetoric. That's all I'm waiting on. It's the same team from last year. Almost exact same team. Is J.J. Redick the championship whisperer? A guy who has never coached in the NBA, but apparently has the charisma and the communication skills and the genius. Isn't that what Reeves called him? Genius? I'm going to be looking at how he communicates with his players, not the first week, not the second week, but in month 3. So that's November, December, January. I want you all to pay attention in January of 2025. That's when we're going to really, really find out what this team really is. 100%.
Check this out. Mid-December, coming off the NBA Cup schedule, they have 2 games at Sacramento. They have an easy one against Detroit, but at Golden State, home against Sacramento, home against Cleveland, and that's just to finish off this year. So that's right around the time LeBron hits 40. The schedule doesn't get any easier, Joe.
Schedule being easier or not is really not the discussion anymore. Can LeBron play a full season without a major injury like he did last year? Can AD play 76 games again? Can J.J. Redick improve the team's execution? Will the team play better because of that execution? Is he going to put them in the right positions? Are they going to make shots because he's putting them in better positions? These are the questions you want to ask. It's the only questions we can ask because the talent hasn't changed, except for an addition of a 17th overall pick who's a rookie. A rookie tech usually doesn't affect a championship team that much. The one that comes to mind right away, I'm talking major impact in my memory. I'm sure there's been one since, but I'm just the one that just pops in my head right away is Sam Cassell in Houston in '94. I remember vividly that guy was a killer his rookie year for that team, and they went all the way and won. I don't know if there ever will have something like that. Maybe later, but I don't remember that kind of an impact player on a team that to win a championship. And that coincided with the fact that you had an MVP on the team and a Defensive Player of the Year. One of the best seasons any player's ever had is the Hakeem Olajuwon season of 1994. I'd say it's maybe a hair below Shaq's in 2000. And some have a valid argument that it'd be better than Shaq's 2000.
Okay.
But it's not, the schedule never really interested me. It didn't really interest me this year. It was always an interest before until this year because how do you improve a team if you don't improve the talent? I saw George Karl take over the Denver team. I think was it in '08? The second stint in Denver. Was it '08 where he replaced I can't remember, was it Brian Shaw? Was it Brian Shaw he replaced?
I think so.
He replaced Brian Shaw, and they just started rolling. So the coach does make a difference sometimes, no doubt. Shaq, Kobe, with Phil coming in, he was the missing piece, right? But when you look at somebody like Phil or George Karl had George Karl had been coaching for 30 years at that point. High school, college, NBA, I think maybe 20 years, right? And Phil obviously had his run with the Bulls. So there was something there. JJ has nothing. How do we know? Are we going to see it in preseason? Because you can talk sweet nothings all day long. You can sound like an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer all in one, Mr. Reddick. I know what's really in your mind. And the few things that you've blurted out, no bueno. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign that you're going to connect a team to win a championship, especially when that team is lacking major talent.
It's funny because Sports Baby says the more he plays, will it hurt his legacy? And I'm saying no, because he has a chance to do something no other player in the history of the NBA, has been able to do beyond 40 and get the kind of numbers and play at the level that any other 40-year-old has ever been able to play. So he has the chance to do that. Now he's saying, well, it hurts his legacy if he still goes out in the first round of playoffs or doesn't make playoffs. Actually, no, because LeBron in this case will be like Teflon. If he's getting his numbers, if he's there for 70 games in the season like he was last season, Joe, all the blame will go to Rob Pelinka. It will not go to LeBron because, again, he is above 40. He'll get a pass as long as he's in there and he's getting his numbers. It will all go to Rob Pelinka. All the blame will go to Rob Pelinka.
The blame in sports is no longer if this happens, this happens. It's no longer cause and effect. LeBron could be winning championships left and right, and still someone is going to say, well, you did it in an era of something. Look what happened to Patrick Mahomes last year. He made one bad interview. In the 7 years I've been watching him play, made one bad interview. And you should have seen the venom coming out of people's mouths. And the typing, the little keyboard warriors sitting in their underwear in their rooms with their other hand up their ass while they're typing. Those guys that accomplish nothing, that just exist. Patrick Mahomes goes off on a penalty call that was actually correct. And right away, look how selfish he is. Look at his wife. Look at this. Like, you could always see that coming from the jealousy people. That's called jealousy. They're mad. They're mad that he feels entitled. Why do you think a player like Patrick Mahomes and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and Shaq, why do you think they are where they are? You think it was just because they're big and they can shoot the basket? Like, you think that's just how it, like, that's all it is, right? It's the mentality that keeps these guys going. And a lot of times your biggest asset there is also something that will likely go south at some point.
I didn't know you changed, by the way.
Joe, I missed the old Joe. What happened to something? Throw your clutch out. What, am I talking too soft?
I didn't know you changed at all.
Tell me, Darren, what changed? But LeBron's legacy is solidified forever. He could play 40 more years. He could average 10 points a game. He could average 50 points a game. His legacy is cemented. It's over. However, being the greatest ever is all that was left for him. And for you to do that in sports, you have to win championships. And he hasn't done that enough. This is going to be his 22nd season, and he will end his 22nd season very likely with only 4 championships. A man that talented, who's had that many opportunities. Granted, I know some of them were unfair. Guys got injured. Durant went to Golden State. I understand that. But there are also a lot of bad series he had, which, most great players have bad series. But there was a couple bad series that he should have won if he's that guy. And there's no denying that. And when you compare that to someone who never failed in those moments versus someone who did, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go with the guy that never failed in those moments typically.
Just wanted to mention real quick, the NBA Cup, the schedule right around then, as far as mid to late November, has games at San Antonio, at home versus Utah, at Phoenix, and at home versus OKC. Just to let you know, that's for the, before they get into any more qualifying rounds that'll take place in December. That's what they have right there. And then if the Lakers do make it, obviously it goes into the qualifying and then into the Las Vegas rounds. And if they don't, then obviously the schedule will change a little bit from there. But yes, for the most part, I guess if you're into less back-to-backs for the Lakers, it's a good thing. The Lakers, as far as matching up against some of the other teams, they don't have to see as much of as they do on other occasions. I believe Dallas, OKC. There's like 3 or 4 teams that they only see 3 times instead of 4. So that's a relief right there. But for the most part, there's going to be some ups and downs. And like you said, right out the get-go, JJ Redick is going to have to make sure he's got the team focused and ready to play, because as Eric in our chat earlier said, it's going to be a pretty interesting stretch right out of the gate.
Can JJ Redick make AD an MVP this year? Is AD an MVP? Does he have that desire to be an MVP? Because when Phil came to LA, let me check a statistic here real quick. Sorry, Gerald. I didn't think I was going to talk about this. But
Darren said, isn't it funny that everyone says Boston has 18, the Lakers have 17? What the hell happened to the IST banner? You really want to be parading that IST banner? Didn't we say on this show, Joe, that you and I couldn't give a crap about the IST banner?
Yeah, you guys, the in-season tournament means nothing, folks. However, I am going to check out Johnny's show from today, because if his guest was downgrading the bubble, then we may have to have a little.
Yeah, he was. I could only stand about 5-10 minutes of it.
Yeah,
I had to turn it off.
That looks like prime meat for me. So.
But props to Johnny, because John did a great job in trying to defend the Lakers bubble championship. So props to him. The other guy was just annoying as all hell. It's if it's not your fan base,
I'll
talk
to John, see if we can merge that. I'm gonna talk to that person. But going back to what I was saying, so Shaquille O'Neal from the 1992-93 season, his rookie season, until 99, before Phil Jackson was hired, Shaquille was 7th, 4th, 2nd, 9-9-4-6 in the MVP. And a lot of that had to do with, the seasons where he only played 54, 51.
Lost you again. Your signal was ping-ponging again just before you went out. Here we go again.
Am I losing internet?
It's now your internet, not my internet this time, folks. It's
It may be time to. It may be time for me to get a new router. I think that
did
might
you
be
get
it.
did you get okay, I was gonna say, did you get T-Mobile? I'm so sorry.
No.
He's gotta get that's fine.
Sorry.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, folks. I don't know why I'm having bad connection. It is what it is. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna talk to Johnny, and we're gonna figure that out, and I'll let you guys know about that. The other thing is Shaq year where he was second in 1995, I believe. No, not 94. Was it 95?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 95.
Are you downloading something?
No.
Okay, because that happens to Josh, my co-host on the Cosmos, when he has somebody is playing like PlayStation 5 or downloading something. Yeah, it goes haywire from there. My bad.
Let me see. Are we okay now?
Yeah, we got it. It's just to stay on for the next 10 minutes. We'll go ahead.
Okay,
and
so
Kurt, I love Napster. I absolutely love Napster.
Shaq was motivated to be an MVP in 2000 by Phil. Can JJ Redick motivate AD to be an MVP this year? I would say, if I was going to ask JJ Redick a real question, something that hasn't been rehashed by moron hacks that were hired due to their looks and their ethnicity instead of their talent. The question I asked JJ Redick, if I had only one to ask, is JJ, can you make Anthony Davis the MVP this year, or at least be a contender for the MVP?
Can you take that momentum that they got playing it for Team USA, and can you translate that into something larger for the Lakers this season?
I don't want
Can he channel that?
Did you feel like he was an MVP type player in that tournament?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there was the stretch against Jokic, which again, he always has an issue with Jokic. But outside of that, if you tell me which players played the best for Team USA throughout the entire run from Las Vegas to Paris, your number 1 and 2 were LeBron and AD. And I don't think anybody would argue with me on that. I don't think anybody would, as far as the overall hoop started from the beginning to the end. AD was there in crunch time, Joe. AD was put in there. He came off the bench, but he played considerable amounts of time at every single game and played a key role on the defensive end. He played defense better than anyone as far as that backline defense. Yeah, that was an AD. I don't want to say MVP like level, because obviously LeBron was doing his own auditions for MVP, which he ultimately did earn. But man, that's about as good as you're going to see LeBron and AD since, dare I say it, the bubble.
AD wasn't an MVP that year, though.
No, but at times he certainly did play like it.
I think it's going to come. I think the reality of AD is you'll never win an MVP, but he can be a defensive player of the year.
That's going to be hard, though, with Wembanyama now.
Yes, it will be.
We may have had our disagreements on as far as last season, but transitioning this season as San Antonio gets better, it's going to be very hard to ignore Victor Wembanyama.
Wembanyama was the most potent defender last year. I saw a 3-on-1 break completely fall apart because of him. Folks, what do you define as a valuable player? I'll tell you what the most valuable player is. It's the mother effer who is feared. You feared Steph Curry. You feared him. He could drop 9 points in 30 seconds on your ass when you're up 8, right? That's an MVP. LeBron James, 6'8", 250 pounds, can run like a deer, jump over you, around you, dribble, block your shot from the other side of town coming out of nowhere, right? That's fear. Kobe, assassin. Jordan, assassin. Hakeem, block you, spin you, dunk on you. Shaq, destroy your entire front line like you're not even there. That is value. That is scary. That's what it needs to be. Not James Harden getting fouls, doing a drop step 3. Juan Dick his entire career. How is that guy an MVP?
Well, we waited till the very end to see and get the best performances from Joel Embiid and, of course, Steph Curry at the very end when we needed them. And I don't know, 2028 is going to be tough in LA, my friend. That's going to be a tough deal because the French team is only going to get better. International wise, it's going to get better. And we don't know who is going to play in 2028 because all these old guys are saying they're done and they're good. Done for good. So we'll see what happens, my friend. But interesting to see the transitional change that will take place for 2028. So, yep, going to be interesting. But yeah, that was great, man. That was great. Just watching Team USA, those two come from behind victories, really close, especially that game against Serbia. You and I were just on playback. You and I were loving it. And then, of course, followed up by the Steph Curry. Those were some momentous shots. Were those the best shots you've ever seen from Steph Curry?
In a moment like that, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I know he's had a lot of moments, but I never saw him make shots like that, even in any of his 4 championship runs.
Those 4 down the stretch in that last 2.5 minutes, that's about as clutch as you're going to get.
That looked like Kobe in Game 6 against Phoenix in 2010.
Yeah.
It also looked like Boston in Game 5 in Boston, where Kobe just wasn't missing in the third quarter. Yeah, that's another level that you can't purchase, you can't buy, you can't rent.
It's 4 years, Bloodhound. Let's see how the team shapes out in 4 years and see how healthy they are in 4 years. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was really a great time. And it was really a unique experience to see everybody come together and it work out the way it did, despite the international teams getting better and better. So yeah, it made for a great viewing experience if you're a Team USA fan. I know our Australian viewers, I know that they wanted a little bit more from their Team Australia, and I think that they will get better. I think there's going to be some area improvements, and I think it's just going to be interesting to see how the international teams get better and better. And yeah, the Olympics were something, Joe. The Olympics were something, my friend. But we'll go ahead and make sure that if we can, we'll go ahead and touch on it in the future as far as the good vibes, the good feelings. I know that everybody now is trying to pair up LeBron and Steph Curry. They had their chance, Joe, to do it at the trade deadline, and I don't think it's ever going to get done. I don't think that nobody is ever going to get their wish on getting LeBron and Steph Curry together on the same team.
What? Why would the what? Why? What?
Because all the shows immediately afterwards we talk about LeBron and Steph teaming up together, on a team. Of course, that's the only way supposedly that they either one can win a championship.
You know what sucks? Technology is at its is so good. I love this particular part of life when it comes to technology. And I know a lot of people are going, what are you talking about? Technology is ruining us, right? No, it's not. It's morons ruining technology. the things that I was able to do this week with my work and just organization, folks, you can't do what I did this week without modern technology. It's huge. It would be something I have to sit down and talk to you about. But the thing that has eroded in the things that I love, sports, is everything has become just about money. It wasn't like this. You didn't hear about it in the past. You didn't hear about money during the 98 finals or the 91 finals or the 2000 finals. We knew that we know people want to get paid. We know they want their million. I get it. But everything is tied to this money thing and tied to the feel-good story. Imagine Steph and LeBron playing in the NBA. No, I don't want to imagine it. I don't give a crap. I'm a competitive guy. I want to see them battle, not play hanky-panky together.
Go ahead.
It's stupid. It's a stupid comment. It's a stupid thing coming from stupid people. See, now Darren's going to get what he was hoping to get to.
Before we head on out, my friend, the Lakers made some signings. The Lakers fans everywhere have been asking, the Lakers need to sign a center. The Lakers need to sign a center. Well, guess what? They signed a center and another guard, both to Exhibit 10 contracts. It is, of course, Kyler Kelly, who played for the Maine Celtics the past couple seasons in the G League. 7-footer, although Joe and I actually outweigh Kyler Kelly, so he's not going to be the strongest guy in the books. Still is yet to really dominate the G League at this point, which is concerning. So I don't know if there's going to be any long-term prospects for him, but also as well, Quincy Olivari, who made a notable game with all the other Lakers starters out for that final game, that final summer league game against Chicago. He did score 25 points. He was given, as of now, the last Exhibit 10 contract. Any hope for these two guys, Kyler Kelly and Quincy Olivari, making the team at some point?
No.
I saw Olivari, but Olivari only got opportunities once the guys that they were playing and wanted to play sat down. So I really don't think much outside of it. You know, it's like a training camp invite. You know, it's just a little bit more than that, just because again it's an Exhibit 10, which allows the team to retain the rights of the player for the season, and it doesn't really cost you against the cap, because you know the Lakers are against the second apron cap still. Yeah. But yeah, these guys are just G League fodder at this point. I think I think this is probably what everybody should be expecting out of these guys. If they do something better, there you go. But you know, if you can't make up as a backup center on the Celtics roster, that tells you, I think, all you need to know about Kyler Kelly. But yeah, role players on the G League team, Eric. Not even role players good enough for big roster. And then of course I think you guys know that Dane Johnson, the coach who led the Lakers to a sparkling 3-5 record during summer league, was let go or parted ways. So I don't know who they've got in as a new South Bay Lakers coach. I'm sure they're going to get someone soon. But yes, I think the writing was on the wall, Joe, when they hired the G League Coach of the Year to add to the regular staff, and Dane Johnson was left out in the cold. Going 0-5 in the first 5 summer league games was, that's. We were complaining that there, did these guys practice? I remember you yelling and we're like, what the hell's going on? These guys are getting their ass kicked. And it's just like, who's the coach? Well, there you go.
Yeah, being positive about what's coming is very difficult right now. And I don't really want to talk about it as much in terms of those things until I start seeing gameplay.
Well, Richard, you don't have to apologize. It's Rob that has to apologize because this is really going to be an issue.
I don't even want an apology. I want him gone. I want Jeannie and Rob to go in the middle of the desert and just walk away. I couldn't care less about these two individuals. They run a barn. This is a barn house. That's all they do. They're only there because they knew somebody when they were born in it.
I think touching on that last thing with Eric about practicing, I think that JJ is going to start with that rah mentality to start off with, as far as getting all these guys to practice and whatnot. But let's see how much influence LeBron and AD have, especially as the games start to pile up. Yeah,
they don't have any influence.
Oh, they will.
LeBron is not a leader.
Yeah, but LeBron will tell you whether or not he's going to practice. He'll tell the coach whether or not he wants to practice.
That's not leadership then.
That's just life in the NBA.
That's just LeBron doing what LeBron does. Folks, you're going to have to come convince me of things that I've already seen. I got a lot of flack from Steeler fans about Ben Roethlisberger not being a leader. People thought I was nuts. I go, Ben Roethlisberger's not a leader. Hell, Troy Polamalu isn't really a leader. Leader by example. People admired him for what he was, teammate, communication, and all that. Sure. But Hines Ward was a leader. Jerome Bettis was a leader. Tim Duncan is a leader. Is Kobe a leader? Derek Fisher was really. He was the leader of that team a little bit because he could glue together everyone. Kobe's just too vicious for that. Again, you can look at this as a derogatory thing, but it's not in a lot of cases. Not everyone is a leader. Would you consider Moses Malone a leader back in the day? Probably not. Led by example. What is a leader? Jerry West was a leader as a front office guy. That guy influenced history for decades. Not just on the court, behind the scenes, everything. That's a leader. Dr. Buss was a leader. This team has no leader. JJ Redick could be that guy, but they're going to have to buy into his stuff, and he's going to have to win. And you can't expect them to win at the beginning either. They could do it, but do you expect it? How are you going to coach grown men and you've never coached grown men? And the pressure of LA and the pressure of trying to win a championship before LeBron retires. And on top of that, he's got to kiss his ass, play his son. Otherwise, what? He'll start putting turtles on his Twitter as some, code that, stop slowing down. Or the rabbit is going to be behind you or some shit, right? Some code that my 5-year-old could have deciphered. It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yes.
But this is all they're giving us, folks. And I turned on the TV today, and LeBron, I already knew this before today, but LeBron told a kid to stop and started dancing in the club. Apparently, LeBron James is now Sean Penn in the 80s. What the hell is a kid begging for an autograph in front of a car, in front of people coming out of cars? You think that kid just woke up one day and said, I'm going to go do this? You don't think it was sent over there? I don't know either way, but it's suspicious, isn't it? But what do we see? We see a 4-second clip of LeBron saying, back off. You're in my space. But we don't value people's space. Oh, well, they're famous and they're rich. We can do whatever we want with them. F you and that mentality. F you for saying things you're saying to people you don't even know, where it's baseless. When I criticize LeBron James, I'm criticizing him based off of things he does that cost the Lakers issues. If LeBron James is being a jackass playing for the Charlotte Hornets, Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, whatever, I don't care. I couldn't care less. I'm a Laker fan. I am a Laker fan. If it affects the Lakers from winning, I'm going to get angry because that's who I support.
And on that note, it has been the Lakers Fast Break. Joe Sorrow and I want to thank you so much for all the words, the kind thoughts, and I guess the people that wanted us to get back on the air. We'll be back on the air. We'll try to be on a little bit more often. But remember, this is the dead time. Remember, 2 months away is the opening of the season. That's a long time away. We'll try to do the best we can to keep you satisfied throughout. But before we go, Joe, since you're a football fan, I know you'll probably not be interested in this, but somebody sent me some comps to the Raiders on the 20th. It's not an exhibition game. It's just training camp, but there's, I guess, something special going on for Raiders training camp. The Allegiant Stadium on the 20th. If you are interested, email me, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. I have 2 general admission tickets for Raiders training camp on the 20th. If you're interested, first come, first serve. So
I appreciate the invite.
If it was, I know I would not even have offered anyone if I knew.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it.
If it was Steelers related, you're the first person I'm going.
Thank you. And I might have still not been able to make it because there's a cold windfall coming at me here right now outside the show. Sunday, as far as the Dodgers are concerned,
I would like to know what a cold chill is. We're still at 100 degrees. So.
I would really like to know what is going on with pitchers in LA.
Oh yeah, you guys are like, man, Walker Buehler, man. Oh,
there's something going on. I know. I really want, Manfred, the commissioner.
What's in the water in Chavez Ravine, man?
Something is going on with these pitchers. I don't know what the hell analytics did to pitchers, but apparently they can't pitch without having a Tommy John surgery, and then once they do, they have a second one later. And I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I really don't know why it's not discussed more. Maybe they're worried about bad publicity. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. But all I know is the Dodgers are they're looking down right now, and in Arizona, and the Padres are absolutely coming and gunning for them. And it's starting to get scary now. And it's not going to stop, and it's not going to get any better because the second the Dodgers go into the playoffs, I believe they'll still make the playoffs in some kind of capacity, whether they win the division or get a wild card. I know that numbnuts is going to put Clayton Kershaw in some moment, and you're going to see 7 runs in the first 2 innings. It's going to happen because it always happens. And I've kind of put myself in a position where I'm just going to expect the disappointment, which is usually
congratulations, Henry. He's going to get married next week
on 8/24.
Yeah,
congrats, Henry.
That's why he's going to be up here in Vegas on the weekend. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, unless it goes on the internet. But yeah, have fun, Henry.
The Phillies aren't playing that well either. But that's the thing with baseball is all you got to do is hit your stride.
162 games, Joe. You're gonna have your
Brandon Ayuk wants to be a Steeler apparently, but I don't believe the Niners want him to go.
Kurt, no, not that one. I don't think unless it's at the Allegiant Stadium on the 20th. That's
that's funny, Kurt.
You're the man, Kurt. We missed you. We missed you, all of you. We missed all of you. But yeah, if you're interested, hit me up, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. It is for training camp at Allegiant Stadium on Tuesday, 8/20. So I'm just going to be offering it to my friends until somebody takes them off my hands because I won't be able to go. So if you guys are interested, you're in town. There you go. Yeah, I always appreciate getting comps in this town. It's always nice when they come by. So yes, I thought I'd show you guys the love and first come, first serve. So let me know, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. I have been to an Armenian wedding. The food is tremendous, and that's all I'll say. The food is absolutely tremendous. Love Armenian food. Absolutely love it. But JSJ says, is Justin Fields a bust? Well, you don't have great options, but yeah, Joe's saying.
Yes. The Steelers are going to have one of the most, if not the most brutal second half schedules I've ever seen in sports. And if Justin Fields is the quarterback, which I just don't see him lasting that long, there's a very good chance they finish the last 8 games probably 1-7 or 2-6. It's sad, folks. It's sad that I can't be enthusiastic about any of my teams. It's so bad. Now Russell Wilson's playing for $1 million. And Russell Wilson at least can keep a drive somewhat respectable at this point. And if the Steelers want to have a mediocre season like they've had the last 5 seasons, I think Russell Wilson is definitely the guy that's going to make that work.
It's got to be efficient like he was last year. I mean, people like downed on him and whatnot, but he still had an efficient year. It reminded me a lot of the lost year that Aaron Rodgers had just before he got back into his MVP year, Joe. He had, I think it was like 25 touchdowns, like 4 interceptions, but people like called it a down year because, just you have to throw 40 touchdowns or it's a lost year. And he was efficient. He just didn't have the kind of guys around him to go ahead and really be able to take care, showcase his talents. So if Portland has some playmakers around them, you never know. I mean, about Portland, Pittsburgh has some playmakers around them. You never know, Joe.
Well, it helped to have Ayuk. You'd have Ayuk and George Pickens, but I do think that George Pickens' attitude is a little immature still. I don't know if he's really a number one. Mm-hmm. Ayuk would be the number one in that case, and even that question is he really a number one? I think he's better as a
I've never considered him a number one.
Right. There's just not enough. It's just not enough.
But he thinks of himself as a number one.
I don't really give 2 shits about what anybody thinks. It's about the results. Folks, results. It's about results. Life is about results. Okay? When you're married, speaking of marriage, it's not about the pretty picture in the hallway with nice smiles. It's about the results at home. Do you take care of your spouse? Do you love your spouse? Do you support? Do you help? Do you love? Not the nice picture on the wall or the parties that you go to and it's all fake smiles. No, the results never lie.
And on that note, again, thank you so much to Xbox and Richard for the super chats. Truly appreciate it. And again, thank you for everybody for the warm welcome back. It is Joe Soro. aka Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. And of course, the guy who's been very busy, very, very busy. That's a lot of my phone calls with Joe. I'm busy. Right there at SimBlades with a Y.com. Yeah, it's a shame. Anytime somebody gets into a rookie season and then ends up not being able to play like McCarthy, that's very sad.
I think they shut him down to really. There was something wrong with his knee before the season started.
It's a meniscus, I think, was that he didn't have surgery. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they made the right call on that.
Darnold's not crying, that's for sure. So.
Well, he'll be crying after 4 or 5 weeks when
people will be crying. All those Minnesota fans, if it goes south on Minnesota, the people will be all those fans that were crapping on Kirk Cousins all those years, Joe, will be the ones that will be sorry.
I don't believe that.
I believe it.
That was the Band-Aid that they had to just rip off. They were never going to win with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but he was a solid regular season guy.
Solid regular season doesn't mean shit. They need to win championships.
No, they don't.
It's about championships. And you need to, at some point, you need to do something that the Lakers aren't doing right now, which is start over. But you have incompetence in power that have no idea how anything works.
Yeah, if Jefferson decides he wants to bail, Eric, yeah, they'll get a nice package for him. So.
Yeah, he ain't going anywhere, bud.
Who knows?
There's the only guy they have to pay is Jefferson. Give him $40 million a year.
We'll see if these guys, they get unhappy real quick. So we'll see what happens. But it is, of course, Joe Sorrell, myself, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We'll be back a little bit more often than taking a week and a half off. Know that we're not done. We're not off the air forever. We didn't quit. Didn't do anything like that. I did get sick, but I did come, you want to come back. It's just that time of the year, guys. And we don't want to give you the same regurgitation like Joe. Joe gets bored, and you can see it when Joe gets tired of talking about the same thing over and over and over. And I don't want to do that to him, especially when he's got so much on his plate already. And again, Kurt, like you said, just chill and enjoy the rest of the
It is our job.
Back
it is
to
our
school.
job to put the subjects that matter too. It is our job. However, we are doing a podcast and we are not at a level where we can do this as a primary.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I don't want to get clickbaity, too clickbaity. We get a little clickbaity every now and then, but too clickbaity. I mean, like, there's a channel that is like throwing every player in the NBA into Lakers trade rumors. And it's just like, it gets old. It gets old fast. And we're just trying to provide you something fresh each and every time out that we can come on the air. And it's a little bit harder to do so in August. And I remember last year, we were trying to go ahead every day, give you team previews, and we were getting people from all around the country and all around the world, actually, to stop by and share their thoughts on their teams. And it just, you guys just didn't resonate to it as thought, as well as I thought, well as I hoped, and just figured this time around, as we get closer, we'll start prepping you guys. We'll get closer. We'll start doing some good stuff then. But just right now, it's August, summer vacation. Braun's chilling. I know you guys are chilling too. At least you are. At least, well, Joe is, I think.
I'm snacking and chilling, on the
snacking and chill. Okay. Netflix and chill. I guess that's what Joe's doing best he can. So.
No Netflix tonight. Tonight is drainage, grass, turf, walls, coring.
Turf and chill.
Yeah. How LA the elections, Joe? How the elections? Sports baby. I can't read what you wrote.
If you're talking about the national elections, that's not until November. So.
Yeah, that's not until November. Right now, all you're hearing is lies.
And on that note, Napster and chill. That's right. Napster, I heard, was really good, Kurt. And I'll leave it at that. Napster was just a blast for those who used it. Not like I was one that used it, but it is what it is. Once again,
let's Joe talk about the Dodgers.
expand our horizons. He just did.
Darren, look. Let me get my bearings together here, and I'll start doing some stuff here in the next few weeks.
I can tell the Dodgers are bothering you a little bit. They're concerned.
They are, and I want to know why the arms are blowing up.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Yes, I remember you were on the show. Yes. Hope all is well with you. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Again, thank you so much for the support and the messages, both private, emailed.
No, they had these problems before the pitch clock, guys. Stop using the pitch clock as their excuse.
What's this deal that they're talking about? Something to 6 innings. What are they talking about? I heard they might be considering a change for about pitchers for 6 innings, supposed to be sprucing up the offense or something like that. I don't know. I saw it mentioned on ESPN real quickly, and I was like glanced at it. So like, I don't know, 6 innings to earn a win or something for starters. I don't know. I kind of missed it. So
I want everyone that does stupid stuff like that gone.
Ohtani's solid. Yeah, Ohtani's just doing this thing, like you said, sports baby. And Aaron Judge hit 300, his 300th home run. One of the greater sluggers of this era. I don't want to go through every era because that's into a entirely different debate, but of this era, Judge is one of the biggest sluggers of all time. But at the end, it's kind of a warped way of dealing with it, Joe, because this is not contact hitting is a lost art. It's now about either hitting a home run or striking out, and there's just no in the middle. It's just the kind of game that baseball was is not what it is now.
Kind of like NBA, everything's a 3-pointer or nothing.
Darren says we are doomed. We need to trade D'Lo. Well,
For
if you're at Laker Tom
flaming hot Cheetos for what? Who's going to take D'Lo from us without us giving them draft capital?
What would it get you? D'Lo is a marginal starter. He's an average starter in the NBA who can't help you in playoff time. Prove me wrong.
I'd say he's a B- C+ player.
That's an average player. That's an average starter.
Average would be
player.
C.
Okay, you say he's above average. I'd say he's just right at average starter.
You can say he's C- in the playoffs.
Yeah, there you go.
But he's a B- in the regular season.
So you would want to trade. They just got themselves.
You don't trade for Levine unless you're getting draft capital.
Yeah.
You're not winning a championship this year.
And why would the Bulls want D'Angelo Russell when they just traded for Giddey?
The only reason why they would trade Levine and give up capital is so that they can get rid of the contract.
Bruce Brown. Is Bruce Brown really going to help?
No. Bruce Brown is the Eric Dampier of this era. He had one good year, and that's it. Matter of fact, he had one good half year.
Oh, I know we're not winning a championship with D'Lo, Darren.
We're not winning a championship without him either. Because you can't get shit for him.
That's what you guys got to ask yourself. You guys, I mean, Laker Tom does this every day at Laker Tom on Twitter. He exercises in futility, and you got to ask yourself, who in the right mind would accept the trades that he's offering?
And mind you, who's pulling the trigger? Yeah. Someone who's not respected or liked in the league to boot. So the Lakers have no assets to really go out and get anybody.
They're up against the cap.
They're up against the cap. They paid a guy who doesn't even belong in the NBA $8 million for sucking ass for 2 years, putting themselves in a second apron when they didn't have to, having to force LeBron to take a pay cut when they didn't have to do that. For what? So that you can pay Max Christie $8 million? You're telling me Max Christie wouldn't have taken $4 million a year? Just utter trash.
So, I mean, okay, you're pitching it to, let's say you want good players coming back. So you want players, the other team wants players that will help them get to the next level.
Folks,
how many, well, let me say this, Joe. Let me say this real quick. How many of the players, if you're trading that are not named AD and LeBron, are going to be starters on a playoff team? How many of the Lakers players outside of LeBron and AD?
None of them are real starters.
My point exactly.
Yeah, none of them are real starters, and it's no good.
Unless Dalton Connect pans out to being something that people were talking about as far as him being that player that everybody missed, and that supposedly
which he could be, but I don't see it happen.
But,
I don't see it happening in his rookie year.
That would be the only possibility right now. The other guys have already panned out to be who they are, which are like 5, 6, 7 guys in the rotation. But for the Lakers, they have to be at a higher level because the Lakers just don't have that kind of depth.
So we have to end the show on a bad note again.
Which is the reason why we don't want to be every day, because you guys get mad at us for saying it how it is.
Our regulars don't get mad at us. They get it.
No, I wish we could multiply our regulars by 10.
Well, by the way, folks, I believe the Lakers are on national television almost the entire half their games, 39 games.
Let me go ahead and let me go ahead and I'll look at that up. It is, I think it was mentioned here on Twitter. It is 27 national TV games.
That's through the main things, but for all national, it's 39. The 27 is TNT, ESPN.
A lot of NBA TVs.
Yeah.
And just think, this is not even the next year when you add in Amazon and all that stuff. So, and NBC. All right. Yeah. Well, Darren, everybody knows that if LeBron or AD gets hurt, that's toast. We're just done. Yeah. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Darren says if Trevor went bald and needed glasses, he would be Brian Kamenetsky. Cowboys Nation says Donovan Mitchell for D'Angelo Russell. First of all, Donovan Mitchell cannot be traded because he signed a extension this summer, so he's not eligible to be traded until, I believe, January. Second is, how much cocaine does the people in Cleveland have to do before they would actually come and accept that offer? I think a lot would be, yeah. I mean, they just arrested a lot of people on Matthew Perry's case. That was wild, man. Did you see that?
It was 1 this morning, turned into 5.
5, yeah. I mean, if that happens, if that happens, Cowboys Nation, yeah, then there would probably be a lot of arrests in and around the Cleveland facility. I
talked about this with my friends a few days ago. My just overall disgust with drugs, and that includes even the small stuff.
How about cold medicine? I kind of use that. Sorry.
No, over the counter type stuff is a fake drug.
Yeah.
It's all placebos, in my opinion. Although Advil does work on occasion.
I use that. Yes.
Advil works. The problem is you just don't be allergic to it, otherwise you turn into a chipmunk. I've had people that I know that had that happen. I guess they're addicted to ibuprofen.
The quills are overrated, and all.
But my disgust for drugs continues to increase. And spare me your BS about alcohol and coffee. Rough artist, you see, you
right on cue. Right on cue.
Just stop. Coffee is not a drug. Okay.
All right.
And a tomato is not a fruit. I know it has seeds, but it's not. It's a vegetable.
And on that note is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Thanks so much again for joining us. I guess Joe is going to have some coffee here coming up around the corner. It is, of course, Gerald and Joe. We'll try to be back a little bit more often. Again, it is the dark point of the season, the dark point of the year, the dark times, because it is so slow. 2 months until the Lakers' first game. Training camp is still a ways away, but we'll try to keep you entertained as best we can, as often as we can, always right here. I've been very chromatic this evening. Ooh, that's a good word.
So, Darren,
Chromatic.
I hope I ended the show with a little bit of me.
Yes. Well, yeah. Was that you, or does that not you? You know, that's what I want to know.
Me, y'all have never really seen me. It's better in person. Me is a scary person to a lot of the puppy dogs out there, because I'll use words and I'll execute the words and they'll really think that I'm about it.
So, according to Darren, I was relating to or using notes not belonging to the diatonic scale of the key in which a passage is written.
Yes.
And I'll leave it at that. All I say was the truth, man. So, that's what it is. I see the numbers every day. See the numbers all year. Been watching the numbers for 4+ years, 5 years now. So, it's what it is. Cowboy Station says Uncle Joe Advil causes heart attacks. Uncle Joe can cause too much damage. Everything hurts you and everything helps you. But what are you going to do?
Well, I did have one of those Cologuard thingies. Have you heard about those?
I have heard this, yes.
And came out negative.
I've had 2. There you go.
Yeah.
If you are in your 40s and guys, you know what? I know, but I've said it on the show. I've advocated for you guys getting colon checks after the age of 40. It is highly recommended by doctors out there for your health. So we want you, hanging around, being able to watch, not dying. So dying is not good. So.
Well, preemptive anything in life is the way to go, and
yes.
That is
also. I'm glad it went well.
Also, thank you again. It was
nothing be ashamed. It should not be anything to be ashamed of.
Well, they gave you a choice. Do you stick something up your rear, or you do this package when it arrives?
Yeah,
and you do the package, and you send it off, and in about
measures your poop.
By the way, guys, this is very important for you guys to understand. When I go to the doctor to do my yearly checkup, or when I do, let's say, this, colon thing, they update your medical information the second they get the results and you have them. And this is the part of technology I love, because you got everything at the tip of your fingers. Everything. Today, there's a video on, I know this is probably boring for some, but it's important to know the point of the story. Aggregate. I work with a lot of aggregate, a lot of road base. And the question is, what's the difference between recycled road base versus class 2 natural road base? What do you use one or the other for? You can use recycled base for concrete typically, because it's not as imperative for drainage when it comes to concrete, obviously, because concrete is a hard surface. However, pavers are also a hard surface, but they need drainage, because usually you can, depending on the paver, drainage is important. Turf especially definitely needs class 2. So pavers, if you're ever going to install pavers or turf, class 2 natural road base. If you do concrete, you can put the recycled stuff. Don't do it the other way around. Well, don't put the recycled one in the regular turf or pavers. Drainage isn't as good. You can still put class 2 in a sidewalk, but you'll be paying more money. So there's a video on YouTube where it explains it so easily in 2 minutes. If you didn't know anything about it, now you do. Yes.
And on that note, getting colon checks and ending the show.
And just understand, folks, because of that, knowing those things gives me a very good life.
Congratulations, Cowboys Nation. Yes. Anytime anybody that defeats cancer, more props to you. Absolutely. Congratulations on that. And
yeah, cancer's a mother, you know what? And anytime
may you still be able to defeat cancer.
when you can kick that son of a you know what in the face, it's always a great
Always
thing.
more props to you. Absolutely. More props to you on that. So for Joe Soro, it's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Truly appreciate it. Stay healthy, everyone. Stay alive, stay well, and stay alert because we will. Oh, thoughts the Intuit Dome? My daughter came up to me and said it intimidates the heck out of her. So she was looking at it as far as what they're supposed to do. I guess the special fan sections where they're not going to allow supposedly other teams' fans in that area. And I'm just like, yeah, right. How they'll give supposed discounts to the people that cheer the most or cheer the loudest. Thought that was weird, but okay, whatever. But yeah, it's the toilet bowl. It's a toilet bowl, but we'll see. We'll see. The first time the Lakers step foot in the toilet bowl, we'll see how much of a home court advantage it truly is for the Clippers. But we'll see. Will Lakers take it over? Oh, yeah. I think the Lakers will. It'll become purple and gold, and that'll be a truly big insult because all those supposedly loyal Clippers fans will sell off all their tickets to the nearest Lakers fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Always happens. But Joe, you and I will be back soon enough. Again, I know your time is very valuable, and I know would appreciate you stopping by. Again, everybody else, thank you for taking the time out of your day. If you have someone out there that likes talking Lakers, there's no better place to go. So have them like and subscribe to get the latest notifications. Hit that bell to get the latest notifications on when we come back right here, the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.